So I got a clipoo from Rapid Response, and I got a clipoo from this guy.
Pretty close. How are you? Pretty short.
I didn't realize he was so short. Also, one of the first things I thought when I, like, saw the stills of this, because, like, obviously I saw the preview image, why is he dressed like that? Like, I feel like if you're going to visit, like, the leader of any country, you should probably be dressed in, like, your dress clothes. Couldn't even wear something nice. I just wear a suit. Yeah, I feel like he should have worn a suit, man. This is like something you wear to go get, like, a dinner with the bros. LARPing as an army man. This is like an army shirt? What the heck? He's dressed like that to show that he is in a war, kind of a PR stunt. What the fuck? Twitter video with timestamps of the talk with Trump and Zelenskyy. Okay. Hold on, let me open this so I don't lose this link. Timestamps below. Zelenskyy was emotional. Does Zelenskyy actually have 2 Y's in his name? They've typed 2 Y's both times. He wore a suit for his meeting with the WEF, his owners. A funny thing, why is he dressed like that? It's 100% relevant to the conversation. Oh, fuck, man. He's dressed like that because in 2022, when Russia invaded, he promised that until the war is over, he will not wear a suit, to try to disguise the gravity of the situation Ukraine is in. It's his I will be Hokage one day thing. Well, maybe I just don't understand military attire in the Ukraine. But, like, wouldn't it make more sense to, I don't know, wear a military outfit in that case? I don't know. I saw so many videos of soldiers kidnapping men in Ukraine to force them into war just randomly, and then videos of women trying to get them out, and also them beating civilians they kidnapped. What the fuck? What? They're just, like, kidnapping people to put them in the army? As far as you know, Zelenskyy isn't actually a soldier. I mean, but if he's gonna LARP, you might as well go all the way, right? What is his posture? Am I gonna throw shit at Churchill as well for doing the same thing during World War II? If Churchill met with world leaders to have an important World War II meeting and didn't wear, like, actual attire to meet those world leaders, then yes. That is stupid. Why would you do that? 5'7" is not that short. Hey, I'm 5'7". Anyways, interrupted Trump, called Putin name, raised his... Well, called Putin names makes sense. Like, he's literally in a war with him. Like, come on, man. That's just normal. Raised his eyebrows all before Trump checked him, and he called Vance a bitch. What the fuck? He wasn't ready for peace. Okay, let's see. Trump compliments Zelenskyy. Oh, the timestamps don't work? Okay, they do, but it doesn't automatically play like on YouTube. Okay.
Brave, and we give him great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters, and you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So
I think he's being very courteous here because, like, obviously in a war people are going to lose their lives. It's not a fucking nice affair. War is ugly and hideous. And so it's nice to hear him giving, like, the compliments to, like, the people who were out there risking their lives or giving their lives, right? Like that. I feel like that's a normal thing to do. Trying to come off as low resource and weak by wearing the measly fit. It's PR to come off as an underdog or underdressed, which is honestly really stupid to you, and everyone knows what he's doing. Yeah? Like, I mean, when I was reading the World War II comment, I don't know anything about what Churchill dressed in or didn't dress in, right? Like, I don't have that in my memory bank, so I don't know what happened with that. But it's like, I could see if world leaders were going to, like, a meeting with fucking Hitler or something, right? Or, like, Mussolini, they would maybe not wear suits as a show of disrespect, which would kind of come into what all of us are saying about Zelenskyy not wearing a suit here. It's more of a show of disrespect and uncaring, and also a PR stunt for people on his side to see him as an underdog. It has to end before Russia pops the Chernobyl seal. Do not release the elephant. And Churchill was a raging dick, but damn, did he give grit. They're taking massive casualties instead of tactically retreating. Actors like Zelenskyy won't go anywhere without... I didn't even know he was an actor. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys were the ones that gave me that link. I had no idea that he was like an actor who acted in shit about pretending to be a world leader and then somehow is now a world leader. You don't think Zelenskyy called Vance a bitch, but rather that he expressed a goddammit statement out of frustration? Zelenskyy, you've been kicking Russians' ass, punching well above your expected weight class. Oh my god. Zelenskyy's a comedian. He was a comedian before being installed. A cross-dressing I don't know about the cross-dressing thing, man.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when we get a
spicy cat
when
raid.
they stop the shooting and we end up with the deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor.
One of his comedy routines was pretending to play piano with his dick. I mean, I don't want to, like, fucking hammer on the guy for his past, like, too much, right? Because if it was his job, then it's like, it was his job, man. If he was going to be a funny comedian, he's gonna do fucking edgy shit, right? That's just what comedians do. And especially because, like, if you're going to insult Zelenskyy for, like, just being a comedian or the things that he did as a comedic skit, like if he dressed as a woman for a comedic skit or if he played piano with his penis or whatever, you'd have to apply those same standards to someone like Trump's wife, right? Because she did modeling and she did nude modeling prior to being the first lady of the United States. So it's like, I want to be a little careful about how I apply that kind of principle, right? So it's like, yeah, it is funny that Zelenskyy was a comedian and was in a movie about being elected as a comedian, and now he is an elected official. But I'm not gonna fucking slam on the type of comedy he did when he was a comedian. And Trump was the "you're fired" guy. Yeah, exactly. Trump was a reality TV star. He had The Apprentice. Yeah. Gonna Google some stuff. It's time. Poor piano coon molested. Zelensky's now going to be responsible for many more Ukrainian deaths as a result of not wanting peace. I feel like it's a very difficult position to be in for him and for Russia. I just don't want to be sending either American people or money to this war that we have no business being in. Let's see what our next timestamp is. Zelenskyy calls Putin a terrorist. I mean, again, that makes sense for someone in a war with him.
Hope that together we can stop him, but for us it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom, and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you, about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course, we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that this crazy Russian that
was like, do they talk about what negotiating peace would be in this video? Right, like, does Trump mention, or does Zelenskyy mention, like, what a peace negotiation would look like? Because that's what I'm most curious about. Like, if they're going to broker peace, what is that going to look like? Because obviously, the Ukrainians don't want to cede any of their territory to Russia. So, like, what would be in the peace agreement? He doesn't want peace at all? I mean, maybe he doesn't want peace, but this is what he was there to speak about with Trump. And so, like, what would a peace agreement look like? He's a little ESL, so have a bit of leniency. Oh yeah, no, I'm not like fucking insulting him. This isn't a peace deal, it's the mineral deal. There is no peace agreed yet. Well, Trump mentions that, like, peace is something that he wants. He wants to broker peace between Putin and between Zelenskyy. So it's like, they haven't exactly said what it was, just that many compromises will be made. Because it's like, that's what I want to know. Because, like, if the peace agreement is basically just like, yeah, give all your shit to Russia, like, I could understand why he would be like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I also don't see why that would be the peace brokerage, right? And it's like, again, I understand him insulting Putin. He's literally in a war with the guy. Like, you can't really get upset with him for doing that. It's just like, I had a moderator who was Ukrainian, and he made some, like, roughly disparaging comments about Russians in chat, and it's like, bro, like, I didn't realize it, like, how bad they were, because I only saw one. And it was like, bro, you can't really be saying that, especially as a mod. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to demod you. I hope that guy is doing better now. Like, I understand his feelings. I understand why he would think that way. I completely get it. I completely get it. I was like, I don't think he's a bad person for thinking that way either. It's just like, I hope he's been able to find a bit more peace, as it were. It hurts negotiations. It might hurt negotiations, but it's like, I doubt Putin is not mentally aware enough to know that people in a war against him are going to insult him. Like, I'm sure he knows that comes with being in a war, right? Like, the verbal insults are the least offensive thing happening. He's literally losing citizens. They are dying. You don't think Putin cares what Zelenskyy thinks? I mean, also possibly that. Sargon did an excellent video breaking down the philosophies behind each side and why Trump acted the way he did. That might actually be good to watch. How long is it? If it's not, like, super long, I could even pull it up on stream. Because, like, I like listening to people that I believe are, like, smarter than I am when it comes to political things, and especially people who spend more time researching specific political things than me. And I believe Sargon definitely falls into that category in certain things. Verbal insults are unbeckoning for a world leader, even in a war. I mean, maybe. I'm not going to fault a world leader for insulting the guy that they're against in a war. Especially because if we ever had to go to war, and we had someone like Trump or a different person who had a similar personality as our president when we were in a war with another country, I'm sure they would insult the opposition as well. If you actually want peace, you can't be doing that. Shrug. He was dumb enough to genuinely expect the Ukrainian civilians to welcome Russian troops with open arms when the invasion first started, so yes, Putin may not have any idea how much Ukrainians hate him. You heard Sargon got better since the whole get Trump mentioned Gamergate thing? I think Sargon has very dumb ideas on anime. And obviously he doesn't know much about the, like, bridge stuff going on, but I feel like he is very well informed in a lot of things that I just don't have time to look into. So I take a lot of what he says, and he shows sources when he talks about things as well. So I like listening to things he has to say. Chat seems like an American echo chamber. Not saying it's exactly like that in EU chats, though. Well, I mean, I have EU people in the chat. If you fault Zelenskyy for insulting Putin, you'd have to fault Trump for calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man. Yeah, that's a good thing. Looks like the Sargon breakdown is over 2 hours. Okay, so I'd have to watch that on my own time. God damn. He gets into it, baby. The only country that matters? Giga chat. Wish people would go back to 2014. Sargon's good at digging up history stuff. His conclusions, though, not always very smart. I mean, same. Relatable. You're not gonna be right all the time, man. All right, so next timestamp here. What do we fucking get?
That together we can stop him, but for us it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom, the democracy,
Does this have
and of
timestamps?
course, no compromises with the killer about our territories. But it will be later, and of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it.
12. 30.
Don't argue.
No.
That was weird.
Okay.
That was weird.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he
Trump thinks he's better than George Washington. What a dictator.
You never know. I don't
What a
compare
dick-baked
myself to anybody.
potato.
I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides.
Who comes to one of these things and leaves their fucking phone volume on? Kick that guy out. Take his phone. Don't give him his coat.
As you know, but I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
I don't know why Zelenskyy looks exasperated at that. Wouldn't that have been the best outcome if Russia just never invaded? If this, like, didn't even start? Like, why would he look exasperated at that? That doesn't make sense to me.
Will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelenskyy, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side? That President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What? What a silly do you feel like the country funding your entire war almost single-handedly is on your side? What a silly question.
But
what do you think?
he wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question.
The president agrees with me. What a day. Sort of a stupid question. I at least said silly, you know. I gave a little fucking wiggle room, man.
I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But,
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall. And thank.
we've had very, very good talks.
Military aid to Ukraine.
President Zelenskyy just said that
This grinds your gears. Well, I was gonna pause and be like, it's really weird to say he wants him to stop Putin rather than brokering peace, but then it's like, English isn't his first language. I'm not gonna fucking nitpick the way he phrases things. The money's gone, bro. Too late, Jesus. What was the next timestamp here? We had 12 minutes, 13:56. Zelenskyy interrupts Trump. Well, I guess we already watched that, and I just fucking didn't even notice he interrupted. I guess I'm just so used to watching politicians interrupt, I didn't even fucking register that, man. Zelenskyy throws his hands up in frustration. 1720. 1720. Let's go to like 1712 here.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous. Get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy
was that
will
it?
be the peacemaker and not the president that led?
What? I feel like that's an exaggeration, man. Yeah, he didn't throw his hands up, man. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's a little nitpicky, man. I feel like that's a little nitpicky. It's very subtle. Yeah, you love my emotes? Oh, thank you. Reporter asks Zelenskyy why he's not... Oh, yes, please. Let me hear why this man is not wearing a suit.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
Something like yours,
sir.
yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better, I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. Maybe something cheaper than, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President,
Thank you for...
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have...
What? These timestamps fucking
What
suck,
was your
man.
second
What?
question?
My second question for Sue, you have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't
difference in this country's office, and you refuse. Here's the question for President Zelenskyy.
Okay, so the question actually
Not
starts
in a
around
good
like
situation. What was your
1835.
second
And
question?
my second question for President Zelenskyy.
No.
Do you ever, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest, why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you, do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such-
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
Something like
Yes,
yours,
sir.
yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better, I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. Maybe something cheaper than, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for...
Thank you, President Trump.
I don't know why he would refer to the suit as a costume. I guess maybe he doesn't feel like he should wear suits. I don't know, man. Remains defiant and arrogant. Yeah, like the journalist asked the question in a very antagonistic way, but it's a correct question to ask. Like, dude is the leader of a country, and he's coming to visit the leader of another country in that country's capital location, the White House, and he's not gonna wear a suit like that. That's a little strange. Costume is suit in his language. Oh, okay, so that's just like a translation thing. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Maddie P. If you're going up to asking in-person handouts from the country that's already giving me money, you'd put in effort. Just saying. I mean, even like money and handouts and whatnot aside, like I just think that is like the base level of respect you give to a world leader that you're going to meet with. Version with the timestamps on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Vouch. I would much rather use that one. Holy 7 fingers on Trump. Oh, his finger does look kind of fucked up. This is AI imagery, man. Okay, here we go. Frustration suit thing. We already did that. Trump commits to sending arms to Ukraine. Oh.
We're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not
But
looking
why
forward
are we
to
sending
a
more?
lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had, and we're treating, you know, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, you know, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. 1 million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country.
Okay, that's cool and all, but I don't see how the workers being there digging has anything to do with the security that he's talking about. I mean, like, that's a nice thing, a little diggy hole, but, like, also, that doesn't, like, those soldiers are now also in danger if Russia decides to be like, well, fuck the peace deal, you know, like, hello, knock knock, buddy. Russia attacking American workers in Ukraine is attacking Americans. Yeah, it'd be a very dumb idea, but it's still a possibility. U.S. workers are there. Russians risk a U.S. attack? Yes, no, I agree. But it's like, if Russia does a, like, hello, knock, knock, buddy, and someone accidentally, you know, takes out American workers, they're gonna have a huge fucking problem. But also, we know that's happened previously, where, unfortunately, Americans have been caught up in other kinds of attacks. If Russia kills the workers, it will make the U.S. act. Yeah, very, very much so. It can act as a tripwire. I mean, I guess I can see it in that way. It's kind of like a security, because if they come in and they do something and an American worker dies, then yeah, they get fucking American launches at them. Security is us being there at all. I don't know. I feel like I'd be in a danger zone if I was one of those workers, though. How'd that work for Americans in Israel? Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. American workers and companies would act like a human shield. It would also give us all an incentive to protect our interests. You're a dwarf. You're digging a hole. We have an active refinery of a U.S. corps in Syria that ran through the whole Syrian civil war, and when Russia sent Wagner PMC to attack the Russians, got wiped out. Wait, Russia sent Wagner PMCs to attack the Russians, and then the U.S. corps got wiped out? It's the same reason we have U.S. troops on the border of North Korea and South Korea. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. I understand now. Could be a similar arrangement with the U.S. and Taiwan with chips. He is basically trying to solve the problem and get us something out of it at the same time. It seems like a very difficult problem, I'm not gonna lie. Where were we? Zelenskyy eyebrows at Trump's comments. We saw that. Trump takes the edge off of the suit question by joking with Zelenskyy that he likes his outfit.
Please,
Sorry. Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Oh, these timestamps fucking suck!
4 years, no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. No, I appreciate your question very much. It's just, I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes. If I can answer,
Please,
sorry.
go ahead.
Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed
I like
beautifully.
this guy. I don't know
I think
him.
he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more serious things than answer on such
Yes,
questions.
that's
I will
okay.
answer on more serious
a good
questions if
statement.
I can.
I think, as much as I think he should have worn a suit, and I think it's disrespectful that he did not, I think both of them had a very good answer to this question here. I think both of them acted very well here. Russia sent Wagner to attack a platoon of U.S. Special Forces in Syria. Over 100 Russians were killed for 0 U.S. casualties. It was extremely lopsided, and Russia literally gave out medals to Wagner troops who were just there for surviving. That seems really stupid. I don't know anything about that, but if true, really stupid. Sergeant Buck, thank you for the 5. Rules are simple. Don't mess with American civilians, and do not, for the love of God, touch America's boats. We are very protective of our boat women.
Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work because...
Yeah, the ceasefire between Israel and Palestine does not exactly seem to work no matter how much is brokered every couple of years. So that's why I earlier said, do they talk about what the peace agreement would look like between Russia and Ukraine? Because I feel like if we know what this peace agreement / ceasefire would look like, we would be able to assess how realistic it is. Ammonia. Neither did the last ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Also true.
I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25
That's
times.
a lot.
He broken.
I don't know if that's
his
true, but
own
that's a
signature.
lot.
25 times he broke a ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke
No,
to
no,
me.
you were the president.
He
You
never
were the
broke-
president
he
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those period, he had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. You know, the France, Germany.
So Putin broke a ceasefire agreement 25 times, but not during the 4 years that Trump was previously president? That seems like a lot. I genuinely wouldn't know. I genuinely wouldn't know. You think the idea is to start with a ceasefire and then bring EU military to guarantee the lines? Hopefully. Thing is, when one side is openly saying they are using ceasefires to openly rearm rather than negotiate, then it's not surprising it failed. I mean, true. You think he's having a severe ESL moment? I mean, he could be. Right? Like, maybe he should have had a translator during this. I don't know, man. Apparently 25 times is a saying in Ukraine and just means a lot. Not sure. You only saw this said on Twitter. Okay. I mean, again, if someone is English second language, I want to give them, like, a benefit of the doubt that I shouldn't take absolutely everything they say 100% literally. Because some things they could be directly translating in real time in their brain, right? And it could just be a little different from their native language to what's in English. Translator not being there is a bad move. Yeah, I feel like he probably should have had one. I can't bring UE into it or war will pop off. Need de-escalation tactics. He didn't need a translator. It's clear what his intention was. It wasn't to have peace talks, that's for sure. Both Ukraine and Russia broke the ceasefire multiple times. You think it's 25 for both? Did he do any of them specifically during Trump's last presidency? He was only sworn in on 2017. No, that's what Zelenskyy was trying to say, and I think that's where he also was a little bit ESL. But when Trump corrected him, and he was like, "Yeah, not when I was president, not when I was president," and Zelenskyy said, "Correct, not when you were president." But he's trying to explain it happened 25 times. It might not have been during the 4 years you were in office, but it still happened. And I think he like stumbled over his English a little bit, but I feel like that's what he was trying to say.
Ukraine and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic?
So ultimately, Zelenskyy doesn't trust in Trump being able to broker a ceasefire. I mean, again, I don't know, but if Russia did break a ceasefire 25 times, I could understand being like, yeah, I don't think a ceasefire is going to work the 26th time, right? Like, I can understand that train of thought if that is the reality of what happened. Russia attacked and invaded Ukraine. Is this seriously being disputed? No, not to my knowledge. Zelensky's secretary, there's a clip showing her face palming. It's great. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. If you were a urinalist at this, you would ask him what Boris Johnson said to him to stop the first peace deal. There was a ceasefire after Crimea, then they got invaded again. How many times did they need to have their trust violated? I mean, isn't that what I just said? Isn't that what I just said? Like if the ceasefire hasn't worked, regardless of whether it's like 25 times or not, I don't know how many times it's been broken. But if it's been broken multiple times, I would understand being like, yeah, I just don't trust simply a ceasefire, right? Like that is a logical conclusion. Tech, thank you for the 10. Trump made it clear that rare earth is a military resource for the U.S. After a mineral deal, attacking Ukraine would directly threaten U.S. national security interests, just like attacking our boats. So that's an interesting way to sort of force it so that if Russia ever tried anything in Ukraine, it would be a direct attack on United States interests. I think that's what people in Twitch chat were saying earlier, but my brain didn't quite catch up. Like, I agreed with them. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but this is a more clear explanation. Thank you. Thank you. Sounds like Zelenskyy doesn't trust Russia to commit to a ceasefire treaty without some kind of security behind it, i.e. U.S. intervention if the treaty is broken. Which again, if Trump is going to broker the ceasefire and then also be like, yeah, we're going to place American workers here, we're going to be diggy holing for your rare earth minerals, we're going to have our interest there. So if Russia launches an attack, it will be an attack on the U.S. as well. And obviously, Putin doesn't want that. That's the cope. Rare earth minerals are actually not that rare. We have a shitload here too and everywhere else in the world. I mean, isn't that the reason that Trump brought up even buying Greenland as like a joke? Because of like the fucking diggy holing we can do there? Supposedly the minerals are to the east of Ukraine as well. I don't know what's to the east of Ukraine, man. I can't make a map in my brain right now. It's like saying that a truce is a binding treaty. After Trump's term, if a new president doesn't want to uphold the agreement, what then? I mean, that's a great question. And that's what some people have been saying about the executive orders that he's making as well. The next president can just come in and undo a lot of the executive orders. So if we want to actually commit to some of the executive orders he's done, they're going to have to be made into like a law instead of just an executive order. We want the other rare earths to hoard our own. America is the dragon. The Budapest memorandum already promised them peace. How did that go? I don't know. I couldn't tell you what that is.
Today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and it says ballistic.
Where are
So
we at
he
here?
knows that we are here
2450?
and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us, you know? It's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts, I think maybe with your...
All right, hold on, chat. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there a section of Ukraine that are, like, native Russians? I don't know if it's Crimea. I can't remember these things, but aren't they, like, native Russians? So, even if they live in Ukraine, and they are, like, Ukrainian, they're still Russian descent? So why would Putin hate them? Donbass, to a lesser extent, Crimea? Okay. Significant population east of the Dnieper River is a native Russian. And those people voted to join Russia. Allegedly, they wanted to join Russia. Eastern Ukraine and Crimea are mostly ethnic Russians. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, chat. Not whatever I said, but ethnically. Crimea, to a lesser degree, Donbass and I can't pronounce that. Luhansk? West of the Dnieper River hates Russians? Well, I mean, I'm sure there's animosity between the two countries, right? Like, there's just no way to avoid that. Donbass passed a referendum to be annexed by Russia sometime in the late 2010s, and Putin refused to accept them. But why? I mean, if he wanted Ukrainian clay, and then, like, the Donbass section wanted to be annexed, why would he decline that? I am wholly ignorant of a lot of stuff going on in that region. So, like, I try to, like, listen to people in chat who might know better, but I also take things with a grain of salt, because it's like I'm not being provided sources, obviously, and it would probably take me a very long time to read through the multiple decades of animosity between these countries. Crimea is almost all ethnic Russian, and by all polls, wanted to join Russia. You and all of America, Kirsche, at least you're reasonable and admit that you do not know much about Eastern Europe. It's like, I don't want to assert, like, yeah, I know what's going on. Fuck these things, but also these things good, because it's like, I'm just gonna look like an idiot, you know? I don't know this shit. I don't know what's going on over there. My opinion has always just been, I just don't want my tax dollars going to a foreign war. I don't want people in either Russia or Ukraine to be dying funded by US tax dollars. Hot take, war bad. No, one of the excuses Russia used to invade Ukraine was the Azov Brigade kept bombing the native Russians in Ukraine. I, like, vaguely remember hearing about that as well. So much stuff that's being provided from that area has been paid propaganda, masked as information. And this is why it's difficult as well. Like, I agree with you. Anytime there's a foreign war, obviously there's going to be propaganda from both sides, and it's going to be very difficult to sort through what's real and what's staged. Like, during the migrant crisis in Russia, when they were staging, like, so many children in, like, sick or dead states. And then you got the behind the scenes where they were like putting the children in makeup and showing them how to lay on the ground and shit. Like, it's so hard to sort through all this shit. And so, like, I had like that one schizo that was posting in my DMs because he didn't like that I was a Trump supporter. He was posting like Russians getting blown up by Ukrainians in my DMs. And it's just like, I don't know why you're sending me this. I don't know why you're sending me like heinous gore from a war that I don't want to be happening. Like, that's an insane thing to be doing. The schizo ruins DMs for the rest of us. The war is primarily about NATO expansion. Russia is absolutely opposed to NATO establishing itself on their southern border. Russia did the same thing to Georgia when there was a serious talk of them joining NATO. And yeah, I think, oh god, there was a tweet where Trump said something about, it was like he was going to give Ukraine like something or possibility of joining NATO. I can't remember what it said, chat. So why are we funding the Nazis? I mean, I don't want to use the word Nazis because I don't know what the fuck is going on over there, man. Also, wasn't the Ghost of Kiev fake, not Sam Hyde, the other one? I just always thought it was fake and it was Sam Hyde. The propaganda is strong on both sides. It's incredible. There are pro-Russian propagandists masking themselves as Ukrainian news outlets. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Which is why, like, again, like, my moderator guy, he can't be saying, you know, like, shit about wanting Russians dead in public, which is why he's no longer a moderator. But I feel for the guy. I feel for, like, someone who has to live through this shit. No, you wouldn't want SRBMs on your doorstep either. There's a battalion in the Ukrainian army called the Waffling SS, and they're actual devoted Nazis. What? Can we stop using the word Nazi? It's lost its meaning, yeah, right? If someone wants to send you graphic, real gore for free, just none of that modern live leak shit, no. It's just like, if I want to look at things like that, I'll fucking go find it myself. I don't want it unprompted in my DMs, man. Fake and Sam Hyde is going to replace fake and gay in your vernacular. True. Whenever that, like, VTuber face reveal trend goes around, so a couple of times I've posted fucking Sam Hyde as mine. Imagine if China tried bringing Mexico into a military alliance. We would not allow that. We would invade Mexico in an instant. Russia views Ukraine and NATO as equally unacceptable. Which, I mean, makes sense in my opinion. Disgusting appraisal you've seen on Reddit of Russians dying sickens you and got you out of the pro-Ukraine mentality. They call Russians orcs and celebrate them dying. It's gross. It is gross. It is gross. Because it's like these are just fucking regular-ass people who have to fight on behalf of their country. And I mean, you guys in chat were saying that Ukrainians were just getting abducted on the street. I don't know if it's true. I haven't seen this shit. But, like, if that's the case, like, these men don't want to be fighting either. And they're being forced to. So, like, celebrating either Ukrainians or Russians dying is fucking insane. Like, just literally insane behavior. Ukrainian citizens are definitely being conscripted, as JD rightfully pointed out to Zelenskyy, so I'm sure we'll get to that in the other video. Able-bodied men being picked up off the streets by militant gangs and being forced into war is sickening. First video is from yesterday, February 28th, 2025. This is just a mega maha girl, mom of 3, 15-year veteran. I don't know where she got these videos from, but you know. What? Did they, like, tase him? How did he fall over? Doggo! Oh. I just leave the doggo? I didn't want to pause that because I didn't want to have to unpause it because that is the kind of screaming that fucking disturbs you, dude. That is actually an insane thing to witness. And it's like, this is why I also say, like, you should watch things even if they're horrific. Because it's one thing to, like, hear, yeah, they're just kidnapping Ukrainians and forcing them into the army for the war. But it's a completely other thing to, like, watch it happening. And I think that helps you understand better what's going on. The car going by also has a Polish license plate. They're also stealing Orthodox churches, setting up state Christian churches. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What did we witness? Did we see a kidnapping or did we see an MP getting a draft dodger? It's important to understand the horrors that humanity is capable of. I feel like, in my opinion here, regardless of whether that's a random guy just getting pulled off the street, or a guy who didn't want to go fight in a war that he appears to be losing, I think it's bad either way. If you ever feel like a free man, just remember that your betters can muzzle and force you onto a boat to fight for foreign interest at any time. I took that tour where I was in Portland and I went into the underground tunnels and they talked about how, like, bartenders would be complicit with military dudes and police officers, and they would purposefully get some men overly drunk and they would drug them, and then those men would just wake up on a boat to, like, China or wherever, and that would just be their life, and they would make sure that the boat was far enough away from land before they, like, unlocked the men that they had holed up on the boat so that they couldn't jump off the boat and swim back to shore. Like, you know? Yeah, shanghaied, thank you, that was the term. And getting shanghaied. Shanghaied. Yeah, of course, Portland! Yeah, Portland was, like, the most infamous port for people getting shanghaied, so they have this entire underground network of tunnels where, like, the police would traffic the men, and there were, like, cages down there that they would keep the men in, and, like, bartenders would have trap doors that they could get into the underground tunnel network, so when they would pull, like, a drunk guy in there, the police officers would actually pay some of the bartenders, depending on how many men the bartenders were able to get them, to force them onto the boats. So it's like, this has been done by, you know, not just Ukraine, this is something that's happened elsewhere, but it's horrific either way. Drafts are insane. If your populace doesn't want to fight, you already lost. Yeah, and I've said before, I don't think there's any real place for a draft in current year because it seems that America doesn't fight wars that it needs to defend itself. It just fights everybody else's wars. If you had, like, a high-trust country that was being attacked, a draft would probably make sense there. And you guys countered with, well, if that's the case, the men would probably want to fight for their country anyway, and you wouldn't need a draft, which maybe is true. Maybe is true. To clarify here, Portland, Maine, or Oregon? Oregon. Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, not Maine. Sorry, I forgot there's multiple Portlands. Portland, Oregon. Draft isn't slavery. They're just forcing you to work against your will. Portland sounds like a terribly frightening place. It is. Almighty Lolly, thank you for the 10. Russia and Ukraine both do this. The war has boiled down to their chance at purging political opponents. Russia forcibly conscripted the majority of men who protested the war when it started. I mean, this is my first time, like, seeing any of these kidnapping videos. Maybe Russia does it too. It's bad if Russia's doing it too. I'm not gonna say, like, oh, it's fine if they do it, you know? But no, it's bad. Like, this is fucking horrible to watch, man. Any country needing a draft is not worth fighting for. Oh, the emotional music! I hate when people do this. I was like, I want to watch this video, but I have, like, this one content creator with their fucking watermark directly in the middle of the screen, and then another content creator with a different watermark in the bottom of the screen. Like, I get it. If you're the one who put the information out there first, you want to have it watermarked so people know where it came from, but, like, can you make it, like, small somewhere? You know, like, it kind of takes me out. Like, this is a serious video, and I got, like, content creator stamps on it, man. That one guy, like, just blocking the mother the whole time. Oh yeah, I'm probably already gonna get DMCA'd, but let's mute it now. Why not? We're not gonna hear anything. Jesus, you think they've got enough soldiers to abduct? I mean, conscript one guy. I mean, they took a long time to get him in the fucking van, so he was fighting, right? It's public domain. I don't trust anything anymore, man. I get hit with so many DMCA, or not DMCA, but like copyright fucking claims. There we go. I almost said strikes. That would have been the right thing. What? This guy even put a fucking stinger at the... man, okay. I was like... I wonder if these are the people that say they can't take me seriously when they see an anime woman talking about it. Oh, Jesus.
Смотрите, что делает, блядь, это пиздец. Я не поеду, говорю.
Alright, see, a question I have here is... Is this kidnapping legal? Because, like, in my mind, right, like, this is all bad, right? This is all fucking horrific. But if you're already kidnapping them, why don't you just knock them out to make it easier to kidnap them? Like, would that make it illegal? If they did that, is that why they have to just, like, struggle to do it? They're under martial law, so probably... I have no idea if they're under martial law. Conscription. Risk of damaging the... Okay, fair. Because they may not become conscious. Okay, fair. Fair. I can't make them... knocking them out is extremely dangerous and likely to either kill them or cause brain damage. Okay, fair. Fair. I was just thinking. Alright, okay. Kirsche getting into the struggle snug. No, I don't want this to be happening. Knocking people out is really only a thing in movies. You can cause permanent brain damage or kill people if you try that in real life. Okay, alright. Anything that can knock out a person can possibly kill them. Draft dodging is a crime. Will Zelenskyy, the installed puff fight? I don't know what you mean by this. Zelenskyy already eliminated opposing political parties and only has a state news media. There's nothing they won't do now. Weren't there Redditors that actually volunteered and apparently used as cannon fodder? We read about one guy, I don't remember his name, but I did like a dive on this one guy who started working as like a Ukrainian conscriptor thingy. I think he was the guy that was like the third attempted assassin on Trump, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Was it like literally him, or was it just like he recruited the guy that tried to assassinate Trump? Because it was the one that shot from the bushes of whatever resort. I don't know if it was Mar-a-Lago. This is so long ago, dude. My brain hurts. The second one, Ryan. Foreign fighters are basically cannon fodder. You think they got blown up by a missile because idiots streamed from their position? I remember that. He was trying to recruit the volunteers. Those aren't conscript. No, I'm not. These videos have nothing to do with that. I switched to a different topic. There are literally like 1 million draft dodgers in the West. Pretty much. That guy, he was trying to recruit. Yeah. He was trying to recruit people from the U.S. To go to Ukraine and fight. And then he went to Ukraine to try to fight. And then they rejected him from joining. And so like we read through like all of his schizo posts on like Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. How did we get on this tangent again? I wanted to watch the Zelenskyy video of Trump throwing him out of the White House.
Я пидор, мне только что отымели в попу. Я буду служить в вооруженных силах
Hey,
Украины.
this guy fucking tied to a tree. What the fuck?
Я пидор, мне только что отымели в попу. Я буду служить в вооруженных.
And it looks like they did fucking hit this guy too, because he's got like a bruise above his eyebrow. Yeah, see, now I need the context. Why is he tied to the tree? The fuck is this? This one's really bad. They raped him. What the fuck? Can we have a source? Can I have like an article or some shit? What the fuck? Yeah, he got the shit knocked out of him? What the fuck? One video where the young guy managed to pull the pin on an MPS nade. I'm not ready for the average Tuesday in Eastern Europe. Look, man. I just wanted the videos of what they were doing to, like, fucking take random people off the street. I don't know if these are just random civilians or if they might be draft dodgers. Either way, I don't like this. I don't like that this is happening to people. It's a video. Well, I don't want sentences. I want a fucking source. Don't give me sentences. Give me source. The CRP was doing anti-Ukraine reporting while in Ukraine and then broadcasted his escape plan before trying to leave. Guy was an idiot about the whole thing. Who's CRP? CRP could have made his escape without giving away his plan? Who's that? What are you guys talking about? Early in the war, Ukrainians attacked and tied people to poles for speaking Russian. What? Coach Red Pill. Isn't that guy dead? Isn't he dead? The fact that JD Vance mentioned it straight to Zelensky's face means all these vids are probably real. Yeah? Yeah? Yes, dead. He died in prison. Yeah, that's all I know. I don't know why he was in prison. I didn't even know he was in prison. I just know that Coach Red Pill is a guy who's dead. That is like the beginning and the end of my knowledge of that man. They killed him in Ukraine. In a Ukrainian prison? What the fuck? Why was he in Ukraine? Wasn't he a content creator? Was he trying to do what's that guy who lived with the Taliban? Like King Miles or some shit? Was he trying to be like that guy? Coach Red Pill is the women are like dogs guy Jim makes fun of repeatedly. Yeah. Women are dogs. He got kicked out 2 times? What the fuck? Lord, so I called him a king. His name is Lord Miles. He was creating Russian propaganda according to Ukrainians. He lived there? He was a passport bro. Who the fuck passport bros to Ukraine? Jim covered what happened with Coach Red Pill. I did not watch that. I definitely missed that one because I do not... Like, I forget a lot of people Jim covers, but I don't think I watched that one at all. Okay, no, we saw that. No, okay. Hasn't been posted. No source yet. You want to see No, I don't want to see the grape, you fucking weirdos. I want to see, like, a source talking about, like, oh, this is what happened. Right? Because, like, if I see this guy tied up to a tree along with the other people getting kidnapped, I'm like, yeah, that's bad. But if I just have people in chat being like, hey, he was raped, like, I'm not gonna just believe that. Like, I want a source, man. So this is Google translated, so some things might sound a little weird, I guess. In Odessa, brutally killed a man who refused to accept the agenda. According to Ukrainian social networks, a video is distributed in which the Nazis dealt with a fitness trainer from Odessa. He allowed himself unflattering statements against the employee of the military enlistment office. So I'm guessing this is them saying that he was saying bad things against the military. The man was beaten, tied to a tree, raped, and then sent to the front. The names of the scumbones who committed this are known, but no one is going to prosecute them by law. Today, they are the masters in the Independent. The story began a few months ago when employees of the TCC came to one of the Odessa fitness clubs. One of the coaches refused to accept the summons and simply sent military enlistment offices at well-known addresses. I don't know what this means. The Nazis who were in control of power in Ukraine could not tolerate such an insult. The man was just missing, and the Ukrainian press then wrote that he was taken to the medical board. But now it became known what really happened. The man was taken to the forest, beaten, raped, forced to humiliate under the video, and then sent to one of the Nazi battalions for re-education. It is not known whether he is alive now, died in battle, or beaten to death by his own servants. The video caused shock in the Ukrainian internet. Even the most tarnished commentators who wanted the death of Russian children suddenly saw what could happen to each of them. Interesting way to phrase it. That's a little weird. The police are silent, the authorities are silent, the rights of people, the norms of the law in Ukraine, they now do not exist. The country is ruled by neo-Nazi activists by force and terror, sending ordinary people into the trenches. Okay. I don't know if I want to finish reading this chat. Because, you know, Hold on. I'll finish it and then I'll give my thoughts. The goal they pursue with the publication of this video is clear. In Ukrainian cities and villages, no one dares to contradict the new owners of life with swastikas on their sleeves, which exist only at the expense of the lives of the unfortunates sent against their will into bloody meat grinder grinders. Again, Google Translate, please. Captured and thus saved Ukrainian soldiers tell how they were forced to serve. The blinded fighter, stuttering, says that he was taken directly from the house and without any medical examination sent to the gland of the battle. Another tells that after arriving at the collection point, he was given a machine gun and sent to the attack. In the first battle, his entire company lay, and before the command, it was not to reach. I can't decipher that sentence. Captured in the Kursk region, Ukrainian soldiers are sure that they were simply sent to the slaughter. Before that, they were given, frankly, criminal orders. Do with the local population what you want. Kill, rob, the main thing. Select phones so that they do not call the FSB. Military service has always been the pride of those who choose this path. Honor, duty, service not for fear, but for conscience. Not empty words for those who put on shoulder straps without distinction. Officers, contract soldiers, conscripts, or mobilized. In Ukraine, now distorted all the basics, the entire logic of service. The only motivation was fear and violence. You will not go to the trenches, tie to the tree, and rape. And at the forefront of the life of a Ukrainian soldier does not mean anything. No one will pull you out, you wounded from the fire. No one will send the reinforcements. You'll just be forgotten, is what I'm assuming this is. I'm translating it. After all, you fulfilled your purpose. You died in order for the sake of bugs, hung out with Nazi symbols, calmly live in the rear, leading their business on blood. A country where elections have been lifted, led by an illegitimate president, where laws do not apply, where the Orthodox Church is banned, where there is no future for service, where soldiers are ordered to destroy the civilian population. It is absolutely clear to us that this is a Nazi terrorist regime that was originally created as a result of a coup d'etat organized with the support of the United States. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said. So I suddenly don't believe this story. I suddenly don't believe this is real. Because, first of all, if this happened, it's very bad. But the way that everything is worded here, even if it's kind of fucky-wucky from the Google Translate, it just sounds like when our media is lying to us. And if it sounds like when the American media is lying to me, I'm probably not going to believe it. It is an RU domain, so it is Russian-based. That's true. This is rg.ru. Heading to your sister's place. Have a good night. Good luck. Drive safe. Journalists are journalists no matter where they are. You can't take anyone who calls anyone else a Nazi seriously. Also, like, I've seen some of the videos of, like, whoever the fuck they are in Ukraine, like, with the Nazi flags in their building and, like, the fucking SS symbols on their arms. So, like, maybe they're there. Maybe it's, like, a Patriot Front kind of thing. I don't know. But if you're going to be a Nazi in Ukraine, why would you fight Russia in current year, actually? Like, both of you guys are white. Both of your countries kind of, like, a little bit socialist, aren't they? So, like, what exactly are you fighting? Like, you're not what are you doing? Azovs are unironically literal Nazis. Why are the propagandists denying it in chat? I don't think anyone's, like, I don't know what the Azovs are. If you're saying that's the battalion, then sure. We have our government who sends out fucking feds to LARP as Nazis all the time to try and change a narrative or to honeypot other people. So that could be what these people are. Nazis viewed Slavs as subhuman. Why other Slavs would glom on is beyond me. Unhinged lunatics. White supremacist types generally don't see Slavs as white, but aren't they also Slavs? The Slavic face of white supremacy. Like, why does the Middle East fight each other? Why do all Asian nations? No. Like, I get that, right? I get that. But if you are a Ukrainian Nazi, would you not think you have more in common with Russia than whatever your perceived enemy is because you're a Nazi? Like, it just, that specifically doesn't make sense to me. There's a historical context for that group in their military, but you don't know enough about it. Azov wears all the trappings of the Nazis, yet they happily work with Israel. Funny that. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. You understand where I'm coming from, but Azov are, like, hardcore. I mean, sure, this could have happened, right? Like, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, this is 100% fake. I know, I'm so smart, it's fake. Like, it could be real. It could be real, but to me, it sounds very propagandistic. If it's real, I feel bad for this dude. That shouldn't happen. That fucking sucks. But like, I don't know. I'm very suspicious of this. Ukrainian Benderovitz sided with the Nazis to go against Soviet Russia. Yeah, but it's not Soviet Russia anymore. It's like, I don't know, man. Zelenskyy did give a standing ovation to a literal World War II Nazi pilot. Didn't people in the fucking Biden administration do that too? Azov is a good rabbit hole, Foxy. There's so much lore and God knows what else is there. You remember correctly, they tend to lean on their Swedish and Finnish history of being Vikings rather than Slavs and hate Russians due to their oppression. The fuck is going on, man? Historically, the Germans from the 30s and 40s fought commies, so Ukrainians that hate Russia and commies may identify with them, especially because some Ukrainians fought alongside them. Like, which would make sense, but we're not living in the 1930s anymore, man. It's not Nazi Germany and USSR Russia anymore. Like, what? Probably some truth mixed in generally. Yeah, I mean, there's probably like a grain of truth in here. Like from the videos, obviously people in Ukraine are being mistreated and are being fucking like kidnapped essentially. And Vance brought that up as well. So if he's bringing it up on like a world stage, I don't know. I feel like that could probably be taken as that's probably happening. You have videos of Azov members nailing ethnic Russians to crosses and were mocking Jesus and Russian Orthodox Catholicism. What the fuck does that have to do with being a Nazi? What the fuck is going on? What the hell is happening? Are you people upset about applauding a half-dead Nazi pilot? We built the space program with these people? What? It was a lot of fun, but chat, please keep in mind that Kirsche is not educated. This isn't her weird... That's very fucking true. That's why I'm sounding confused. Yeah, that's where the hostility stems from. A reminder that you still have like half the try. That's true. That's true. That's true. I still have a lot of this to watch. Where were we? 2605? 2605? Yeah. Where fucking Putin should pay for all reconstruction costs. We kind of like, I talked about that, but I didn't play it.
All money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it.
This man's asking for $300 billion? Hold on, wait a minute. The Nazis despised Christianity and only used it as a political tool, plus the idea of attacking anything deemed Russian? Is this like the Italians aren't real white people but applied to Russians? Like Russians can't be real white people because they're Slavic and also commies? Russia offered to pay the reconstruction costs for part of Ukraine that they damaged. Did they? I wouldn't know. Yeah, anybody ever heard of the Havara Agreement? No, I have not. Hitler thought he was possessed, by the way. What? Did he do meth? What was the drug that fucking Hitler did? Because like I could see if he was drugged out of his mind, he'd be like, yeah, I'm possessed. I got a spirit in me. It was meth? Okay, I remembered correctly. It's just $300 billion. No big deal. No big deal, dude.
But it's not enough. It's not enough.
How is $300 billion not enough? What do you mean?
The trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelenskyy.
Wait, 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine or on the Ukraine's.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think
Poland?
Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
I love the yearly rainbow burning in Poland.
They got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things?
Yes, why?
As Europe. With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
please, go ahead.
Ask you about the agreement again today. What changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelenskyy the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
What was the
I'm just,
deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
I'm a business
I
person.
didn't think we were going to make a deal. And we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, what and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelenskyy and Putin?
I don't know, but it's, well,
I
they
couldn't
don't
hear
like
that
each
question.
other, I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match. And it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a
Very
man that
true.
didn't know much. I'm going to be very nice. Run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it.
I wish you would, like, name some of those countries, because, like, I mean, that's cool and all, but if we've never heard of it and we don't even know the reasons, like, I kind of want to hear of it, right? Like, what countries and what wars, you know? Like, I could probably, like, extrapolate maybe when he talked to Kim Jong-un, right? But, like, other than that, like, where? Whom? Why? Trump has stopped the wars on Mars between the Martians and the Moonanites. The Egypt-Israel peace negotiations. Oh, that's true. That's true. That is one. There'd be too many. Take too much time. Naming is bad for negotiate. I mean, maybe. Maybe it's like fucking insider, secret, locked up knowledge that can't be declassified. But I don't know. It just sounds really weird when he phrases it like that. A bit of a faux pas to name. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe I'm being silly wanting the names, but it just feels really weird to phrase it like that. And it's like, well, as much as I voted for you, I'm not just going to believe absolutely everything you say. You know, like, where's the proof? Some of the Russian chicken.
But this should have never happened.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending line, and they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big... I'm gonna be a woman for a moment, chat. Like, I can't help it. It's just like where my brain goes when I watch things, okay? Like, I'm absorbing what he's saying, but I'm also like, bro, his haircut is fucking fantastic, man. Like,
it is so mathematically chiseled in from like his hairline to his sideburns going into his beard. He's like, this is like character creation, a fucking tier hairstyle, man. Like, that's nuts. That's so fucking fresh, dude. All right, like sorry, I just like I had to woman moment for a second. Okay, he got them lines, man. His barber needs a raise.
Nice ocean, yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to
Down,
Poland.
Foxu, he's the good. I'm not saying he's attractive, chat. I'm not saying he's a himbo. I'm just like I can give a compliment to someone without wanting to bone them. Okay, fucking weirdos.
By the way, but first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know,
He's gay now. Chad, I just complimented his hair. I didn't say he was cute. What the fuck? I did not make the leader of Ukraine gay.
They've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kiev or Odessa, which is known to be at the riviera of the Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting
Yes.
peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa.
Yes, and I'm already disappointed because like this is what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear about like the details of brokering peace, but you guys told me they don't even fucking get to that. That's upsetting.
Cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of
You have to come,
things have
Mr.
to happen.
President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine
What is he
fine.
talking about? Trump is just like, yeah, well, let's talk about brokering peace, and he's just like, yeah, children are going to school underground. I was like, what are you talking about?
And Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So,
Mr. President, one more.
Did he just say that Putin lost 700,000 soldiers in this war so far? Is that an accurate number of how many Russians have died in this war? I don't know any of the numbers. So it's like, that is a crazy amount of people. Probably more killed in action and missing in action. That is a crazy amount of people. Russia has lost well over 500,000. The official numbers injured, maybe? Probably not. We don't know either side's numbers. Not that it would be not as bad if there were less people. Like I don't want any people dead, but that's what happens in a war. Not just Russians. What? I believe Zelenskyy needs a translator to actually get through what he wants to say. Yeah, some of this is like frustrating, not because of Zelenskyy, but because they didn't give the guy a translator. It just kind of feels weird. You'd reckon 300,000 killed in action that the DoD cited under General Lloyd? Both sides fudge their numbers? I mean, probably. Trying to seem as big as Trump, even though he's rude and interrupting. A high estimate is 1 million dead total, like for both sides? How do you mistranslate numbers? I mean, not like the numbers itself, but like him trying to like just speak in general on some things. Less than Zelenskyy says, more than Russian media says. Too much, anyway. You know, some people from your city dying, but at least there was enough of them for funerals. Well, that's a really sad thought, dude. I'm sorry. 300 to 700,000 for both sides is usually the range. That means a total of 600,000 to 1.5 million total. Jesus Christ.
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that
A couple of days ago.
Is it just me, or is like the volume getting lower as we keep watching?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do, is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back,
I can agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, we have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their...
Is JD wearing eye makeup? I got some news for you. Every single man in this room is wearing eye makeup. That's just what happens when you're going to be on camera.
Mind, even if we in this room disagree with them, they have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all?
I guess Trump doesn't have eyeliner on. He's just orange, man.
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay, and how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am, I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about.
Are you serious?
So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces?
They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them.
U.S.
The
forces?
agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in response?
Oh, she's asking the same question I did when you guys were like, well, if they attack the American workers, they're attacking the American interests, and so we just attack them. Why would they do that? It's happening.
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving.
I asked a ridiculous question.
I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Please, go.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good.
What?
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin.
See, it would be ridiculous for Trump to insult either Zelenskyy or Putin. But earlier, I was saying, yeah, Putin and Zelenskyy are at war. So if Zelenskyy says, like, disparaging things about Putin, obviously that's not going to look great if they're trying to broker a peace deal. But he's the dude who's literally at war, so I can understand that.
I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. Yeah. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side is exactly...
Well, he's saying exactly what I said, but more professionally.
So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions.
True, actions always matter more.
What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
He occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea.
Shit's about to get good because this man, like, scuttle-butted to the edge of his chair to, like, lean in to say what he's about to say. I'm fucking... Something's about to happen.
Yeah. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but
He said he signed with Macron and Merkel that Russia would have a ceasefire. If Russia breaks a ceasefire and it was just Macron and Merkel who had signed on to it, what the fuck are they gonna do to stop Russia? Like, chat, am I crazy? Merkel, that was your mistake. Didn't Merkel say that that was literally just a delay tactic to get them more weapons? I have no idea, because I don't know anything about this ceasefire that I didn't even know that Merkel and Macron signed a ceasefire. And you meant that Macron and Merkel mediated the deal? You didn't notice that either? Was Putin even a part of it? I mean, well, he had to have been, right? He had to have been. Merkel did say it was a delay. What the fuck? That's what you remember, but you might be wrong. It's hard to not be crazy.
after that, he broke this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect,
Very
I think
blunt.
it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
Is he saying that, like, yeah, you have your ocean now and that's why you want to make it not your problem, but if, like, Russia ends up taking Ukraine, it's going to become your problem? Like, what? That's why we want to broker peace even? Man, like, we don't want to be in a war.
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly
and real.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influenced.
See, now I'm noticing the interrupting.
Feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
Trump is right about this gamble that he's taking, but it's also like, how are you going to sit here and interrupt the guy who's like, I want to end this war, I want to broker a peace deal, I want to make sure this stuff stops happening, I want your citizens to stop dying. Like, what is he even trying to argue in this case? Like, what am I even listening to at this fucking point, man? I don't play the cards.
Gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please.
Because he knew that if Trump got elected, he wouldn't have as easy of a time getting all the American money dollars to continue the war. We know there's war hawks on both the Democrat and the Republican side, and they just want to keep enriching themselves by keeping all of these foreign wars going. But, like, Trump's campaign was on ending this war. And if he reneged on that promise, a lot of people would be incredibly fucking pissed.
I think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly.
That's true, he was not.
Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long.
I can agree with that.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
I mean, again, I can understand his paranoia about the ceasefire, but if Trump is going to be placing American workers there who are diggy holing for some minerals, if Russia attacks, like those workers are the guarantee. I don't like the idea of that, because if Russia decides, oh, well, fuck it, I don't care, and they have American casualties, that's going to be a huge fucking problem. But hopefully Russia would be smart enough to not do that, right? Like, I don't think Putin wants to have America decide to just like, yeah, you know what, you fucked with us and we're coming, baby. I don't think he wants that. I don't think anybody wants that. I wonder how many lines Zelenskyy had to snort after this one to calm himself down. I don't know, man. There are no minerals. I mean, they literally talked about the minerals in this conversation. One of them even brought up the ones that are in eastern Ukraine. What do you mean? What do you mean? Maybe Putin does want a war with America. I would like to believe he is not that dumb. Something extremely appealing to the man brain that being a worker who died and started World War III would be an insanely cool way to go. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's an intrusive thought. If Russia tries to fight the US, it'll be over for them in a month. I do not like thinking about a potential war between America and Russia, because we both have nuclear weapons. And if a war happened, I don't know if either side would completely not use them. Zelenskyy needs this war to go on. It means it gets them so much money, hundreds of billions of cash. Russia's nukes are not the same grade as ours, not anymore. I mean, even if they're not the same grade, they still have them. I don't want Russia to ship over any of that shit, man. A man can be responsible for destroying the entire world. It's basically godlike. It's a bad way to look at it. Do you really want to take a chance? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We think we have nuclear weapons. Have you considered that most nukes have not been tested or even checked and refurbished for decades? I mean, I don't know how you would test that. I'm not a nuclear guy. I would like no nukes falling on my head. True. Russia made a test bomb with the target recorded explosion. Doubt most, if any, of Russia's nukes are still viable, but it's also not just you that would be affected, so you cannot blame those who are not willing to risk. That's not true. Russia has restarted testing their ICBM. Using weapons 70 plus years old, who knows if their intercontinental missiles work at all? I feel that's not a gamble you should take, man. I feel like if you're just like, oh, they have nukes, but when was the last time they were tested? I'm not a gambling person, so maybe I just don't have the full scope of thought, but like, that's not a gamble I would take, man. Have we all forgotten they just showcased their hypersonic MIRV? I don't even know what that is, so I didn't forget. I just didn't even know it existed. Russia has nearly 10K. Do you really want to gamble that they all don't work? So that's like, again, I understand Zelensky's paranoia with like, they've broken ceasefire agreements before, so I need more assurance than just something signed on paper. And then Trump is like, well, we're going to have Americans there, and the Americans there are the security guarantee, because Putin's not going to attack the Americans. So I kind of understand what's happening, I think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins.
I don't understand what he just said here. Can someone explain that to me? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What are sheets? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's I don't know what that means. I know javelins are missiles. I know that, but I don't know why he's angrily saying Obama gave sheets and I gave javelins. Javelin anti-tank missiles. Yeah, no, I know what javelins are. Sorry, I didn't explain exactly what my confusion was. He's saying Obama gave them blankets, basically. Blankets, sheets of paper. So he's saying like Obama really didn't do anything for them, and he gave them something helpful. Is what he's saying. Obama gave them bed sheets. Trump shipped javelin missiles. Sheets to cover the bodies? Oh, okay. During Trump's first term, Trump gave Ukraine javelins. Obama gave them is he making bed sheets to, like, cover the corpses? That's, like, the allegory he's trying to make here? Obama just gave sheets? Fucking pathetic. Obama gave them medical, civilian support. You know, like, Obama literally gave them non-lethal aid. Oh. Obama gave humanitarian aid, which did nothing to protect them against Russia. Only gave humanitarian aid, he gave them military aids. Okay. Zelenskyy keeps referring to presidents that weren't Trump. Also true. Obama's relief for Ukraine when Russia invaded them in 2013 was basically nothing. FEMA relief aid and some training. And we all know how fucking useless FEMA is. Not body bags, blankets for barracks. Okay. Okay, Obama only gave Ukraine non-lethal military aid. Obama was too busy playing with his drones elsewhere. He was like, here, have some hospital aid. I got kids to drone strike in different countries. DRT's King David V. Obama gave humanitarian aid as in bed sheets, while Trump gave them military aid. T-Money is saying his contributions were fucking T-Money. T-Money and K-Dog. Yeah, no, I understand. I understand now. Thank you, chat. Thank you for explaining, chat. Because I had no idea what that meant.
You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make. Because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam.
Oh my gosh.
And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war.
That's true.
He went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
Ziz, can we get it came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom? It was disgusting as a sound alert. Can I have that, please? Thank you, Ziz.
Yeah. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out,
completely correct.
You'll fight it out.
Completely
I don't
correct.
think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out.
It's like I don't know if he realizes that if the United States stops funding this war, they are just kind of fucked. And I don't think anybody really wants to see that either. So the brokering the peace would be the best thing. And I can get the frustration from Trump here as well, because earlier I even was like, oh, she asked the same question I did. But that was like, also, he's been asked this question multiple times now. And even someone like me who has no idea what the fuck was going on can understand, like, he's saying the peace agreement isn't just going to be a piece of paper. He's putting securities there because he's going to have Americans on the Ukrainian soil working to mine minerals. And if Russia invades, if Putin attacks, if he comes in and harms those Americans, America is going to retaliate. That is the security guarantee. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, because I could be fucking retarded, but that is what I got from listening to this. There's a painful truth he's addressing here. It wasn't fair to Putin that he was painted so visibly as the boogeyman to America for a decade. Now, Trump has to actually work with this man that the media has vilified. No matter what Trump does, he's going to be seen as validating the journo scum. And it's like, on top of that, I think people I think people don't exactly take respect as a guarantee either, because it's more like a silent, tacit agreement more than anything that you can really count on. But if you have world leaders who have some kind of respect for one another, even if they dislike what the other country is doing, they're not going to cause an issue insofar as it could create a war between the two of them. So when he says that, like, Putin respects him and Putin didn't do anything during his presidency, he's saying that as a, Putin is not going to do anything as long as I'm here. And I guess the hope is that whoever comes in after Trump is going to be just as much of a respectable figure, that Putin will hold on to that, and it won't be someone weak like Joe Biden, where Putin feels like he can do whatever he wants and take advantage of the fact that we had a weak leader. Here's the correction. The problem is that Trump will put the workers on the far west where Russia won't have to reach them, so we can attack without hurting our workers and still continuing the shit all over again. Well, that's why that lady asked about the east side. This is why we need to elect actual competent presidents, true and real. Putin has broken pacts before. No pact, the U.S. would be secured at all. I mean, you can't, I don't think you can have 100% guarantee on, like, any of this stuff, right? Like, if we broker peace, let's say tomorrow, right? If we have a ceasefire deal and we send the Americans over there for the minerals tomorrow, if Putin attacks in 2035, is that going to be, like, Trump's fault? Is that going to be like a, well, we had guarantees and now they're broken? Because, like, what's going to happen 10 years from now, right? This is the why he said, what if a bomb drops on your head right now? Like, you can't continuously have the anxiety over the what ifs. You have to just try your best to make guarantees that will make the lives of the people better right now, to stop the Ukrainians from dying right now, to stop the Russians from dying right now, is what the point he's making is. At least I think so. What if you stub your toe on your bed frame? Part of the weakness of democracy with a revolving door of leaders is exactly this issue. There's no guarantee beyond the current president's term. If you insist on only signing a perfect deal, you're likely never going to get one. Yes. Sargon made a 20-minute video about the taking respect as a guarantee. You'll link it in stream suggestions. Thank you. Yeah, like, the respect thing, I think, is something that people just either don't understand or they just don't take as something that matters. And I think it does matter. What if finger butthole? What? Like, you really don't want to sound like a Putin shill because there are people that are worse than him in positions of power in Russia. It's like, I don't have any feelings towards Putin. I'm just trying to, like, understand what's happening. Kirsche in chat, to understand this, you need to understand general Russian history. They respect those who show strength. Putin sees Trump as strong, and the Russians see Putin as strong. So to get respect, you have to have strength to back you up. Which is, I guess, why Trump said that he made Zelenskyy, you know, a tough guy. Because he understands that Putin kind of respects those who show strength, maybe? I don't know. It's another problem. Putin's replacement is far worse. I don't know who his replacement's going to be. Trish Chan, thank you for the 20. Americans are tired of meaningless foreign wars. They need actual reasons for active deployment to other countries. And protecting something tangible for them is the best guarantee you're going to get. True. True and real. This is why it needs to be a congressional treaty to make it last longer than a single president. But even if they make that congressional treaty, like, if you have a weak president, if you have someone that wants to continue these wars so that they can enrich themselves as a politician, they're probably going to try their best to find some kind of loophole to that, right? And this is another, like, what if kind of situation. Because it's like, yeah, it would be good to have that, and instead of thinking about the what ifs right now, at least come to an agreement at the moment. Congressional treaty won't control Russia. Russians are a different kind of people. They don't accept pussies. Being a brat like Zelenskyy is weakness. I don't fucking no hashtag brat Kamala nonsense. Money fungible. Petitioning a treaty in our Congress for a foreign country. What kind of cope is that? They will use the poop. What? To be fair, Zelenskyy is a literal fascist. You hate that America has been funding a fascist regime for the last 4 years. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know enough about the situation. Right? My opinion had always been I just don't want my money going to a foreign war. I don't want the war to be happening. I feel bad for the men who are dying in this war, but I don't want my tax dollars to be going to it. So any kind of peace agreement as fast as possible would be ideal. Fuck you, Red Square. I'm not Red Squaring!
But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position.
True.
But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thank you, sir. I know this is
And I need the back of your
We'll see. I don't know.
All right, guys, come on. Wait. Hey,
What? Why did he give a thumbs up?
come on.
Okay, all right. That's just the end there. Okay, all right. We fucking, god damn. Did he really call JD Vance a bitch? Somebody said that he dropped like a suka at some point, but like I guess I didn't hear it. I don't know. 4240
stories, and I know what happens is you bring people,
right
you bring them on a propaganda tour.
There's a little whisper. Suka. Suka bliet. I know that from Counter-Strike. Zelenskyy, oh, it is two eyes normally. Okay. Zelenskyy leaves White House after Ukraine talks collapse. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy left the White House on Friday afternoon following the collapse of talks with President Donald Trump. Boop. After a televised explosive clash in the Oval Office. Zelenskyy did not respond to shouted questions from reporters asking him if a peace deal to resolve his nation's war with Russia was now dead. The White House canceled a joint press conference for Trump and Zelenskyy that was originally scheduled for Friday afternoon. Zelenskyy was in Washington, D.C. for discussions about a potential deal to give the United States access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals as a part of a broader effect to end the 3-year-old conflict between Ukraine and Russia that began with Russia invading its neighbor. Zelenskyy left the White House without signing the minerals deal, a White House official told the Reuters news service. Trump has not ruled out reaching that deal, but has left it up to the Ukrainians to be ready to have a constructive conversation. A White House official that, after Zelenskyy and Trump left the Oval Office, the Ukraine leader went into a so-called hold room in the West Wing of the White House, which is normal protocol. Trump then issued a post on social media saying Zelenskyy would be welcome back when he wants peace. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz and Secretary of State Marco Rubio then went to the hold room to tell Zelenskyy his White House visit was over. Zelenskyy later tweeted out a message thanking the U.S., Trump, and Congress. Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit. Thank you at POTUS, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that. Well, then why didn't he sign the deal? What was in the why didn't he sign it? Trump in a statement said, "We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I have determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace." Trump also said Zelenskyy disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. And I guess this kind of makes sense, right? He feels that, like, if America is on his side, he's able to, like, bully Russia into an uneven agreement. Which, like, whether you think they deserve it or not for being the instigators is a completely different story, right? Knowing the U.S., there's literally 0% chance they would pursue peace if there were any chances. Trump did not pass the charisma check on Zelenskyy. I don't know what you mean by this. After his news interview, Zelenskyy went to the UK for further aid, aka don't ask questions, just give money. It's the main issue. He wants to win the war and retake all the lost territory. There's a Fox interview he did directly after that. Zelenskyy was the one that insisted on doing the deal, signing live on camera in DC like he was planning this crap. But I don't know if he was the one who insisted it was on camera, but Trump did say, like, he allowed it to go on for this long, so. Russia can very easily call for their allies if we need troops against them and start World War III. Rubio put out a statement too. The reason you believe he didn't want to sign is that the agreement of that scale could offset rebuilding efforts. To Zelenskyy, it would seem as though the Americans are attempting to colonize Ukraine in lieu of the Russians. I mean, I kind of said that, like, at the beginning of all of this, Ukraine basically had the decision to become a Russian puppet or become a US puppet. And it seems like they chose the latter. The Rubio interview is worth watching. How long is it? Fox interview adds far more context. Is there a link, and how long? And the signing was supposed to happen in Ukraine. Zelenskyy insisted he wanted to do it in the US in front of cameras. Zelenskyy tried to pull Trump's heartstrings with sad stories and change the deal. And they're pretty much an EU colony. Akusa, thank you for the 50,000. I don't know what that currency symbol is. Thank you. Zelenskyy threatened not to sell food to Vietnam if we don't have his side. We're the third biggest export on rice. Why do we need flour for bread? What the fuck kind of a threat is that? That's so weird. That's so weird. Like, why is he threatening fucking Vietnam? 18 minutes, here we go, buddy.
And my source tonight is the Secretary of State who is in that room today, Marco Rubio. Thank you so much, Secretary Rubio, for being here. We just heard from President Zelenskyy. He said he does not think that he owes President Trump an apology for what happened inside the Oval Office today. Do you feel otherwise?
I do.
Oh, sorry, BGM is still on.
You guys only saw the end. You saw what happened today. You don't see all the things that led up to this. So let me explain. The president's been very clear. He campaigned on this. He thinks this war should have never started. He believes, and I agree, that had he been president, it never would have happened.
True.
Now here we are. He's trying to bring an end to this conflict. We've explained very clearly what our plan is here, which is we want to get the Russians to a negotiating table. We want to explore whether peace is possible. They understand this. They also understand that this agreement that was supposed to be signed today was supposed to be an agreement that binds America economically to Ukraine, which to me, as I've explained, and I think the president alluded to today, is a security guarantee in its own way, because we're involved. It's now us. It's our interests. That was all explained. That was all understood. And nonetheless, for the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelenskyy has made. But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington, and there was and should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a such scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work. President Zelenskyy took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. It's unfortunate. That wasn't supposed to be this way, but that's the path he chose. And I think, frankly, sends his country backwards in regards to achieving peace, which is what President Trump wants at the end of the day, is for this war to end. He's been as consistent as anyone can be about what his objective is here.
But what specifically do you want to see President Zelenskyy apologize for?
Well, apologize for turning this thing into the fiasco for him that it became. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic. Look, this thing went off the rails. You were there, I believe. It went off the rails when he said, let me ask you a question to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Well, this is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names.
That's actually a good point. And I didn't think about that earlier. I was just like, yeah, I can understand why Zelenskyy would insult Putin because they're in a war together. Like, I get it. I don't really blame him for that. And like Trump even said like he doesn't blame him for like his hatred of Putin in the interview. But yeah, I can get that. Where like being in an interview with Trump for signing some sort of peace deal and then insulting Putin in that sort of scenario, regardless of how you feel about Putin or how you feel that Zelenskyy would be justified for those comments, probably not the place to be doing it. I can get that. I think some of you in chat might have said that when that happened too, and my brain just didn't pick it up. But yeah, I can understand that, dude. Bad optics, because it's like, if Trump had like said anything there, then Putin could be like, well, what the fuck, man? Why the fuck are you like capitulating to this guy who's insulting me? Why would I come to a peace deal talk with you now? Like I can get that. The optics, that makes sense to me.
Demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelenskyy doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active, open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think
But
he
can I
should
ask you-
apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
You yourself have said previously that Putin cannot be trusted in negotiations. That was the point that President Zelenskyy was ultimately making during that conversation, is that there cannot be an agreement without security guarantees, because he was talking about all the ceasefire agreements before, or agreements that Putin has just blown past. I mean, do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all understand this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place we have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know. I think it is, based on what they've said so far, but we have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European...
God damn, you said she blinks too much, and now I can't stop seeing it. Fuck. I can't stop seeing her blinking too much now. This whole thing was intended to be a media hit job. It definitely is feeling like that, especially since some of you guys were saying, like, Zelenskyy insisted that it was in front of cameras and Trump, like, allowed him to do it. Boguslaw, I think of the two. Zelenskyy isn't a Christian or a Slav. Small hat. I wouldn't know. I have no idea. She has a nostril higher than the other two. What? Fucking don't insult this lady. She's fucking doing her job. She hasn't done anything wrong. There's a rumor that the UK made a minerals deal too, and Zelenskyy sabotaged it on purpose. We'll see. What? He is, in fact, not technically a Slav. Technically. Zelenskyy met with Democrats before that conference, by the way. What the fuck? Who did he meet with? It ain't, but it's very distracting. You disagree Collins has a lot of wrong? I mean, I don't know who she is. She hasn't done anything wrong in the 4 minutes I've seen her here. I was like, Sorry, I'm holding a bottle and shaking it. It's Caitlin Collins. She's a jerk. I don't know. I've never seen this woman before. I don't want to insult random lady I don't know anything about. You're amused by her fucking :3 smile. He signed a 100-year treaty with the British, becoming a de facto colony. What? Is there a source on that? We gotta fucking please shake the pill bottle. This is my anti-nausea medication. Even made Joe Biden mad in 2022. I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
And to end this war. I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year of killing, another year of dying, another year
of killing, another year of dying, another year of taking U.S. taxpayers' money to fund your year-long war. Why would any of us consent to doing that? Why would Trump give you that? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. And also, I feel like assuming Russia would be weak enough to give up a year from now is a worse what if than Trump telling you, yeah, we're going to put Americans on your soil and that's part of our security guarantee that Russia's not going to do anything to you. I feel like that is a worse what if than our security what ifs. Like, what the fuck?
Destruction, and by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored, and that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
President Trump said just when he was leaving the White House after that meeting that he doesn't think President Zelenskyy wants peace. But isn't that why the Ukrainian leader was in the Oval Office for that meeting today?
Isn't that kind of like a loaded question? Because like, apparently it was supposed to be in Ukraine at first, but then he insisted he wanted to do it at the White House, and then he also insisted he wanted to do it in front of the cameras instead of behind the scenes. Isn't that... Yeah, he was here for that, but then he rejected any kind of peace deal that Trump was trying to make with him. So, like, what did she mean by this? Oh my god. The sound from the bottle is more like Ritalin than anti-nausea. Double check your labels. Okay, we got some anti-nausea shakies. We got some fucking hydrocodone shakies. Look, those are fatties. They're fat ones, okay? That's for my back. What's this one? We got nerve pain dampeners. We got those sound kind of like maraca shakies, all right? You know, the different shakies of the pills. She's trying to rehab Zelensky's fuck up.
Well, he was in the Oval Office to sign a minerals rights deal. That's what he was in the Oval Office to sign today.
No, my spine is making extra bone. I'm turning into a titan.
But again, when you have comments that deliberately appear to be deliberately, I mean, after having discussed this repeatedly, deliberately appear to be geared towards making the argument that peace is not possible. You know, again, he turns to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Almost as if to say, these people, you can't deal with them. You can't have any negotiations with Putin because he can't be trusted, and you're just wasting your time on negotiations. Well, he's directly, basically undermining everything the president has told him he's trying to do. Look, there's no need for that. You start to suspect, does he really want an end to this war? Does he just think that, you know,
if he comes for peace agreement talks and then he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to sign anything unless you give me everything what I want. Like, that's not a peace agreement. That's not a compromise. That's you, like, wanting to de facto make a victory that you're probably not going to be able to have, man.
To do whatever he says and give him anything he wants without any end game.
Oh,
that was the
he said the same thing I did.
That was the Biden strategy. We were funding a stalemate. We were funding a meat grinder. And unfortunately, for the Ukrainians, the Russians have more meat to grind, and they don't care about human life. We've seen it, human waves, the North Koreans, etc. And so this is a very complex thing. It's very delicate. It's very costly. It's very bloody. It needs to be brought to an end.
His point was he wants whatever agreement to have backing. Otherwise, it can just end up like the last one. How is that crazy? And I mean, again, I understand his paranoia because Russia has broken these agreements before, but that's why you have to take into account the respect that Putin does seem to have for President Trump. Trump also deciding to put Americans on Ukrainian soil. We cannot, no one can, ensure 100% guarantee. That's impossible, and that's what Trump was saying with the what if a bomb drops on your head right now, right? The most we can do is what is tangible in reality. We can rely on Putin's respect for Trump. We can rely on Putin not wanting a war with America, so Americans on Ukrainian soil, not soldiers, but workers digging. That would be American interest. That would be people in Ukraine working on behalf of Americans' interest. That isn't a war. That isn't people dying. And Russia's not going to want to start a war conflict with the United States. That is the heaviest agreement we can give. What would you want? What kind of security would you want if Americans on Ukrainian soil, not as soldiers but as workers, is not enough of a security guarantee? Of course, it's impossible, but you can promise to do something if he breaks the agreement. A promise to do something. Sending in workers isn't a promise. That is doing something. If Putin attacks those workers, do you think Trump is just going to be like, oh, well, that's so sad that Russia killed those American workers. Oh, well, you guys. Mexico, hey, how about that wall? Like, do you think he's just going to fucking about face? You think nothing's going to happen? Like, what do you mean by this? He didn't pinky swear, promise he wouldn't make the bad guy do bad things. Ukraine can focus on gaining security after peace is achieved. And did Ukraine have no Americans in 2022? No U.S. companies? To my knowledge, I haven't heard anybody in chat tell me that Americans have died as workers there. All of this assumes that Russians trust us at all and assumes they have any need to negotiate. It doesn't matter if the Russians trust us. It matters what Putin thinks about Trump. Not even what Putin thinks about Americans, what Putin thinks about the sitting president. Like, it's not hard to avoid a specific area. You think the workers are going to be stationed in the entirety of Ukraine, that it's impossible to invade parts without them in it? I'm going to use America as an example, right? Let's say we have, this is a completely fabricated hypothetical just so I can actually get my thoughts out, okay? So just try to imagine, you know, US and whoever I'm talking about is like this conflict related. We're in the US, we have, let's say, Japanese citizens working to mine shit in California for Japanese interests, right? And then let's say the UK invades Maine and attacks Maine. They're also attacking the Japanese interest because the Japanese have citizens purposefully here mining things in our country. So yes, the attack happened very far away from those Japanese citizens, but it's still going to upset Japan because they had citizens here that should not be worried about any kind of conflict. And if the UK is attacking Maine, what's stopping the UK from attacking anywhere else? Obviously, the hypothetical isn't a one-to-one because Ukraine and Russia are much different sizes. The United States has like fucking the ocean on both sides. Like, there's obvious differences, but hopefully my hypothetical makes some kind of sense. Hopefully you guys can kind of understand what I'm trying to say. They can have Maine! Fuck you, guy! they just get pulled out. That's happened before. It could be, right? But like, as America, we're a fucking giant country, and if people attack a place where we have our interests, we've never just backed down and pulled our people out. The only time I can think of a pullout happening is the end of the Vietnam War, because we shouldn't have fucking been there anyway, so we had to pull out everyone afterwards, and fucking a little bit of shame there. It sounds familiar to the Indian students that were in Ukraine and were forced to evacuate, and India still does trade with Russia. Pulling out always sucks. Of course, but there's a difference between being upset because your interests are being fucked with, right? Like, aren't your interests being fucked with by those lunatics in Yemen at the moment? You're not down there stopping them from fucking with the shipping. I have no idea what's going on in Yemen. I have absolutely no idea what's going on in Yemen. But, again, if I, as like a functional anime clown woman, can understand that Trump is saying, I'm going to place American workers there. We're going to make a mineral deal. The minerals are our American interest. Because we have American interest and American workers on your soil, if Russia attacks you, Russia is attacking American interests, and we will retaliate, is what he's saying when he gives that as a security guarantee. So it doesn't matter if the workers are in West Ukraine and Russia attacks East Ukraine, they're still attacking American interests. Got some crayon eaters. It's like, mate, I could be wrong, right? Like, I'm not an expert here. I could be wrong in my interpretation. I could be completely wrong. But this is what I'm getting from it. This is what I feel like I've heard from it, right? He didn't give that guarantee. If he'd said what I did, there wouldn't be a problem at all. He did say what I did. He did say, he doesn't have to say exactly in my words, because obviously I understood what he meant when he said it, right? Zelenskyy wouldn't have kept bringing up a guarantee if he said that. It's because Zelenskyy doesn't believe that that is a guarantee. Zelenskyy still believes that regardless of what is promised, any kind of peace deal is going to be broken by Russia eventually, right? This is the what if. This is why all of those reporters were continuing to ask, like, how can you guarantee that this would happen? And Trump was like, well, a bomb could drop on your head right now. There's no 100% guarantee. He didn't say, or he said he didn't think Putin would do that because he respects him. He didn't say he'd use military force to back the agreement if broken. I mean, sure, it might be better if he would come out and just bluntly say that, but I think it can be inferred that if Russia attacks American interests, we would retaliate, right? Like that is just what makes sense, logically. You have succinctly summarized geopolitical strategy in an understandable way. Anyone protesting you does not perceive breakfast. I mean, again, I don't understand everything immediately, so it's like I'm not, and I might be talking a bit sternly here because I'm trying to figure out my thoughts, but I'm not like angry at anyone. I'm not trying to like insult people who don't understand. Inference doesn't really matter when it comes to something that important, since everyone can infer things differently. That's why it's important to have shit spelled out clearly. I mean, I agree with you. I agree. Like, would it be better if he was far more blunt? Sure. But again, if I can infer that if American interests get attacked, we would retaliate to those people that attacked us, I think most people can also infer that. Would they feel better and less anxious if he came out and said it bluntly? Yes, that would be better. But I still think that's something that most people can understand with what he said in that interview. Ooh, Tommy! Sorry, I got a really bad fucking grumble. What is, doesn't deserve breakfast even mean? It's a joke on the people who are unable to perceive breakfast. You don't spell stuff out, you lose your cards. I mean, that's also a possibility, right? Putting it too bluntly is inflammatory towards Russia and could harm peace deals. I mean, that's also possible. You don't want to make one party feel like you're... How do I word this? Like Trump said, he's trying to broker peace, so he has to be like nice to both parties. And if it seems like he's giving more of a guarantee to one party than the other, then they might not want to come to the table anymore. Like, this is a very difficult diplomatic thing to do, which is why, again, if he said it more bluntly, yes, I can understand that it would feel more secure. But also, like people in chat said, I can understand that Russia would be like, hey, wait a minute now. Why are you saying things in this manner? Is this a direct threat, right? Like, I could understand. Being a mediator's fucking hard, dude.